alcohol, and 30 years later they die from the effects of,
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing.
Lung
Like Big Mantle and the bad liver from all the drinking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cocaine is just a terrible drug. And those
What
people.
is in?
It's
I'm
a,
so
it's a,
naive.
well,
What is in cocaine?
I don't know.
That's the addictive.
The cocoa bill bean, right? Like the meat chocolate.
It's a highly stimulating drug that triggers extreme. It'll get your heart going at a high rate, which is not a good thing artificially. I mean, I think Huey Lewis has had some problems with his heart because of his cocaine use.
Is that right?
He's got a irregular heartbeat, and I know about that because I got that. I don't have it that bad, but he's had 2 procedures done, and it's still not normal. He's had some major problems with it, but he was big into that whole scene, because that nightclub.
Yeah, sure.
That's
what these guys do.
Yeah, there's a lot of partying going on those days. Yeah, and Chuck was doing a lot of that stuff. Late 70s, early 80s, that was going on. Big time.
I was reading about that.
That's back when he was the man.
Oh, he was great. I love watching him.
He was he was a good NFL player. Not a great one, but a good one. But I think his best years were college. Yeah, it's a shame.
Sure. Okay, so a little housekeeping stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I wanted to do for you guys, I was just talking to Vern about this. The barter exchange business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's totally separate from those restaurant cards.
Right.
You said your leisure. Okay. So one of the exchanges I belong to is called Pacific Trade Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the way I would do it here, internally, the trade exchange, the way they make money is they charge 5%. Okay, well, I'm going to be paying that, so you guys don't have any of that cost. All right. Basically, what you get is I'm going to put this application in. You'll get a card, and you'll use it like a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who's on the list, you'll get login information and all that. And so as an example, you guys ever been to Sailor's Restaurant in Sausalito?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I mean, I've driven by it, but I've never.
Yeah, where the old Guernica was?
Yeah.
Okay, they're part of this. So I've gone there, and I mean, I've purchased $200 worth of food, and the only thing I paid for was the tip.
So you just take the card, and basically you have a certain amount of dollars on there that you're.
Yeah, what I'll do is each month I'll be plunking money in because I built up dollars from like my resort and all that, and so I've got these dollars to go ahead and use. And I tell you, for me, it's been great because I use them for other things like
you can
cutting
entertain
trees
or something.
Yeah. Oh, and it's not just food.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had lots of trees cut. I've had construction work. I've had attorneys do work. Dental. I mean, not everybody in the world belongs to it, but enough do where you go, I can use it. In fact, I mean, this is for the amount of money that we're talking about. I mean, you guys could just go to Sailors,
Yeah, I used to do trade when I was up in Seattle doing some freelance work for this guy, and it was great because he had 6 or 7 restaurants and a couple of, I remember there were a couple of clothing stores, and you could use whatever you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
That was great.
And like Polio d'Asti, familiar with that? That's on Sacramento Street in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
They have pretty good food. So some stuff San Francisco, some stuff Marin, Walnut Creek, and whatever. So once you get the card and you have your login information.
My wife will like it because we don't go out to dinner enough.
We don't eat. Yeah, three boys in the house.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. So if you think about it, feeding the family is pretty expensive. Isn't
Oh
it?
my God! I bought. Yesterday was my youngest son's birthday.
Yesterday?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
Sunday.
turned 9 yesterday. Yeah, and
My daughter was just 8 the last week.
they're big eaters.
Yeah.
So I got 7 tri-tip steaks. Gone.
Like that, yeah.
Just gone.
It's
Now,
like
granted, they one went through a 2-hour baseball practice. The other 2 went through like full-on. Swim team practice.
That'll do it.
So they came home and just.
They're growing. They're going through the growing at the age where they're just like.
But it's scary because I have one teenager. I got another one that's going to be a teenager.
Yeah.
And then I have maybe the biggest eater of them all, who just turned 9.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Well, as a Christian was, he just turned 21. So you try to remember when you were 18, 19 years old, and it's like it's a bottomless pit.
Yeah, I ate like a horse when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And especially when I was 21.
Exactly.
I was 6'4", 180 pounds.
Oh God.
I was so lucky I worked in a restaurant that you could just take whatever you wanted. Go there.
So here's an example. I mean, when you went to Whole Foods or wherever you go, I mean that's real cash you had to spend for that, right? So here you get to go to a restaurant, and now you can get food to go.
Yeah.
So you know, I mean, it basically is real money, and it's really good food. They have
That
very
sounds
good
good to me.
food.
Yeah,
I'm all
great.
for it.
Okay.
Any,
So
yeah, any
I've
chance
got-
I get to feed these boys? Yeah. Yeah.
And my daughter doesn't eat a huge amount, but it's funny, like a typical kid, she has a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, that adds up.
Yeah.
She just,
She's a grazer.
yeah,
Razor,
yeah.
yeah. So what I had here, 'cause the other thing I didn't have was like addresses. I've got the zeros for like.
So you got a form for me and Bruce to fill out?
Sure, no
Yeah.
problem.
So just, and don't worry about social security numbers.
Okay.
Because again, I'm taking care of it.
Okay.
And gotta treat you guys well.
And you?
Making this to you, right?
Yeah, because I send it to them.
Should I put our last name right next to it?
Yeah, and I just put in, you know,
First
I
name.
mean, this will be whatever your login information.
Gotcha. What a beautiful day outside.
Oh my God, yeah.
This weather. I would love to be. You know what I'd like to do right now? Yosemite Valley, because there's no. Yeah, well, they're tourists, but they're not too many, and the waterfalls are just. This is the best.
Oh, this is the best time of year, yeah.
Best time of year.
And we're going, I only been there once in my life in April, freezing cold, but it was perfect for the waterfalls.
Especially Vernal Falls. That's the most spectacular one, I think. Oh no,
Is that the one
Yosemite.
that goes like this and then goes into the
It's
other
just a
one?
ribbon. It's like, yeah, there are two of them
Yeah.
that are, there's a Nevada and Vernal, and then of course Yosemite Falls and Bridal Veil, but those are the big four. But Vernal and Nevada are one right on top of the other. You can hike up what's called the Mist Trail right under both of them, and then go up on the backside of Half Dome. That is a hike. It's about 8 miles each way, about 4,500 vertical feet. And a lot of people do it with nothing but like flip-flops on, which is really stupid. Really stupid.
That was kind of close to where those people died too, wasn't it?
You know what happened was they were there's an area where you can kind of wade out into the river, and they were wading too far out. And you know the falls is only like 100 feet away, and they get sucked right over the falls. Stupid. You know, just thinking, just kids. You know, they were like in their 20s.
Yeah.
It's amazing how dumb people are when they get out in nature sometimes. They don't
Today's date? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like whenever I gone into the ocean, I stay close to the shore. You gotta respect it.
It's a good idea.
Because I've been slammed before on that. That's not a fun thing.
You need Social Security?
No.
Okay, good.
Oh.
All right. And
Again, I'm paying all the taxes on it. So.
okay.
I'll go ahead and send it. Okay, so again, I recorded the first thing. We'll do 2 quick shows today.
All right.
And I don't know what your schedules are next Tuesday if you want to bang out 2 quick ones. Because again, I'll try to do as much as I can so that we can just get right into it.
I mean, I'm here for as long, you know, for as far as I know, I'm here next Monday or Tuesday. I don't think we're going to travel for the Sharks,
Okay.
and you know, the Warriors can be done by.
Unfortunately,
Next
probably
Tuesday.
will. I think they're going to go 7 though. I bet you they go one more down there and one more up here.
Yeah,
Well, they are.
I'm sensing 7.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great. They may beat.
If they go 7,
Who knows?
they might do it because Spurs are a little too old at this point.
Yeah. What's really sad is that so many teams are beat up now. Everybody's hurting.
Which evens the playing field.
But see,
Yes.
that's the thing. Is Kevin Durant. We talked about this on the air, but you know, he should. When you get into, this is just my philosophy. When you get into like those hard games, and you're into overtime. You can't be shooting those perimeter shots. You have to go right to the hole.
Yeah,
Because I mean, you watch Durant. He kept missing because he's tired.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic shooter, but
it's tough though, Ted.
And I think for him, it's less tiring to take the jump shot instead of just going in
That's
and
right.
just get beat on.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. gotta do the
And
pass.
Memphis plays pretty good defense too.
yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Right.
Like the Warriors.
Okay, let's get right into this here. You can do I'll do my welcome back. Okay, and away we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with sports radio personality Bruce McGowan and Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco. Now, a few things we wanted to cover. One, do referees protect high-profile players such as Sidney Crosby? What do you think?
I think so. I think it's an.
I think they get more leeway. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
they get the
yeah.
they certainly get the borderline judgment calls. What do you think, Bruce?
No question. I mean, I was at the Warrior game the other day, and I was watching some of the calls that were made against the Warriors as opposed to the Spurs the Spurs were getting a lot of benefit on those calls. Now, granted, I mean, Tim Duncan's been in the league forever, so maybe you make a little more allowances for him.
Protect his knees and just the fact that he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
I go with the great Ray Fosse on this one. He tells a great story. He was playing with the A's in the 70s, those mighty teams. And then he got traded, and then some judgment call or whatever like that. And he looks like, hey, man, I would have gotten that call in Oakland. And he goes, well, you're not in Oakland anymore.
It depends on who you play for, right?
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are human beings. They're going to make mistakes because they've been watching and respecting these older players.
Well, especially like quarterbacks. I mean, look at the rules that they changed. In fact, I was thinking about. Remember McMahon getting just slammed to the ground by Charles Martin, if I'm not mistaken, the Packers.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and it actually practically put him out of football because it dislocated. It did something to his shoulder.
Nasty hit.
Yeah. I mean, that one was that was obvious, but nowadays they protect the quarterbacks a little bit too much.
Well,
We'll get into that.
Boy, if that happened today, boy, you get a little letter from the league, a little fine, a little lighter in the wallet. Yeah.
I remember when Tony Siragusa dumped Rich Gannon on his head in an AFC title game, and it was an ugly scene. And Gannon kept playing, but he wasn't effective. The league has got to do that, unfortunately, to protect the skilled players.
None of us would get up if somebody like
No.
Siragusa fell on us.
No
Well,
way.
if you think about it too, though, if the quarterbacks instinctively know that they're not going to get slammed that hard, they're going to be a lot more effective because they're not going to be as fearful, don't you think?
But I will say quarterbacks are tougher than we think, though. I mean, they're prepared.
Oh, yeah,
to take the
Roethlisberger. I mean, big guy like him, or even Tebow.
I think
Tebow's
any
big boy.
football player that goes out there and sacrifices has got to be a little crazy. And those guys are tough. I mean, there's not a single football player out there who plays in the NFL or college, for that matter, who's not a tough guy. I mean, I've heard George Atkinson back in the day say, Lynn Swann was soft. He couldn't take a hit. Well, maybe he couldn't take a hit like George Atkinson would like him to take a hit, but he could take some hits.
Well, if you're going to be out there, then you're fresh meat.
Yeah.
Well, I went to school with Stacy Bailey. Do you remember him?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Stacy, great guy, but he only weighed about 175 pounds, and he was a wide receiver.
Dripping wet with his
And
shorts on.
that's it. So the funny thing is, if you ever watched him, I mean, he could only go down the sidelines. I mean, because otherwise he would just get decimated. But that guy had a 48-inch vertical leap.
Wow.
In fact, his claim to fame, I think, is the famous Bartkowski Hail Mary, where Billy White Juice Johnson gets the ball and runs through a few San Francisco tacklers and then it gets in the end zone for the winning score. Stacy was the guy who tipped the ball to him.
Oh my God! I remember that game. That was in the
That
early
was
80s.
early '80s.
Yeah.
I think that was Bartkowski's big claim to fame.
Yeah.
Beating the Niners.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so Stacy was the guy who tipped it. But I think one time I saw him go down the middle. He goes down the side, and he cuts into the middle, and I started kind of cringing, going, "Don't get hit! Every bone in your body's gonna get broken."
We remember Darryl Stingley so well. Tatum hit him, and it was a clean hit. I was at that game. It was an exhibition game, and it was a clean hit. And unfortunately, he just hit him in the right spot. The poor guy never recovered, and he died a few years ago. And he was in a wheelchair the rest of his life. Very sad.
Remember Ricky Waters? He went to the Philadelphia Eagles, went across the middle, got alligator arms because he wouldn't go up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that expression. Alligator arms.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears here for a little bit. At what point should a player hang it up and retire?
Only the player knows that one.
Yeah, that's right. Because I mean, it's so easy for us to just sit on the sidelines and judge.
Yeah.
When it's over for you. But I think an athlete knows in his or her mind. I guess when you either you don't have the heart for it, you just don't want to get up and just go through the pains of the reps and the practice, do it anymore, or you just feel in your heart that hey, I just can't play at a high level anymore.
It's so tough too because this is what you've been doing your whole life, and all of a sudden you have to walk away from it when you're still relatively young. In your early 30s, sometimes late 20s. It's got to be difficult. You hear stories about guys who retire from pro sports and they go into depression and they lose money and their life falls apart and they divorce their wives. Whatever happens, I could cite some stories. Jim Tyrer of the Kansas City Chiefs, great offensive lineman. Once he got out of the game, he just was never the same and ended up killing himself.
When I do an interview, it's one of my favorite questions to ask of an ex-athlete. When did you know that it was over?
Well, you got to think that these guys, like you said, retire on average, 35, 36, maybe 40. I mean, you got a lot of years to go.
If they're lucky, they retire when they're 35, 36. Most of them have to get out of the game when they're 26, 27. The average length of a pro athlete's career is about 4 years, 3 years sometimes, 3 to 4 years. So think about that.
I'd like to know the percentage of the guys who leave on their own terms versus the guys who
Oh.
still think they can play and are let go.
Well,
That's
that's a good point because I was making in my mind just certain guys who retired pretty much at the top of their game.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Jim Brown, Gale Sayers. Now he had gotten hurt, but then he came back. Ted Williams. So these guys, you kind of look at them and you say, it's really sad when you see these guys who stay around a little bit too long.
Willie Mays.
Willie Mays, I know.
That was so tragic to
we went
watch
back
him.
to New York.
Yeah, stumbling in the outfield during the World Series against the Oakland A's. And yet, the interesting thing about Willie, his last base hit as a major leaguer was the game-winning hit in Game 2 of the World Series in Oakland. So, hey, it wasn't all bad.
Yeah.
Well, what a way to go. Hey, Bruce, you had a couple of guys on at the Throckmorton Theater in Mill Valley, one of which was Biff Roberts.
Mhm.
And I believe I asked him that question about when did you know it was over, and he had an interesting story because he's one of the guys that thought he could still play, and I believe he had a 2 or 3 hit game his last game, and he felt like, hey, I see, and they, I think they sent him down or they released him or something like that. It was just, sad.
Well, he was a good player, not a great player, but the problem is, unless you're even if you're a superstar,
Mhm.
sometimes they push you out the door.
Well, sometimes, we all watch sports. I mean, obviously you guys are there a lot, but, you look at some of these people and you go, how did they even get to this level? Because some of them they don't seem to have it day after day after day.
Some of them are very inconsistent. It's interesting watching Hunter Pence of the San Francisco Giants, who's the most awkward-looking
He
athlete,
is.
and yet the guy is a great ball player. He
Yeah.
really is. He plays with such passion, and he's fun to watch because he's so unique. I think
Yeah.
that's why he's a fan
Who
favorite.
taught that
I
throw?
will say this, though. In the case of Hunter Pence, is he not in a contract year?
I don't know.
It's interesting. When you're in the last year of contract, just how much you turn on those numbers. I think if you check,
Yeah.
I think Hunter Pence is up at the end of this
That
year.
wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that has to play into it. Certainly plays
Okay.
into it. I think those of us in the media are more skeptical at it because we look at it that way. We're looking at the money they're making. That's become such a big story, and I wish
Yeah.
it weren't, but it's the reality.
I've never seen anybody throw a ball, from the outfield the way he does. It's kind of this weird sort of sidearm, and he's probably the only guy who's ever hit the ball 3 times with one swing.
That was a wild swing. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was strange. The World Series, yeah.
That was very strange. And in fact, you were talking about the ways professional athletes, know it's time to retire, and the 3 things that they pointed out here in this article was, A, your body says no.
Mm-hmm.
2, you're no longer good. And 3, your desire to play has vanished. So there were a couple things I thought were kind of interesting here where, a football player can't play the game without feeling like an 80-year-old quadriplegic. Now, I've played some basketball just, for fun pickup games, right? And it's amazing how the next week, I'm just so sore. And that was when I,
Are you still playing?
No.
Now imagine doing that every day.
I know.
Imagine doing it for night games right after day games. I mean, and in football, what do you think, Bruce?
Yeah.
It's like being in a head-on collision,
It's
like
like
50, 60 times a game.
It's like being in a car wreck.
Yeah.
It really is. Once a week, you're in a major car wreck.
That's why I know a lot of these guys, they hate those Thursday games.
Oh,
It's
my
just
God.
not enough time to recuperate
No, it
from the
isn't.
previous Sunday.
And on the subject you brought up, Edward, about when you know it's over and all this kind of stuff, how about being the guy, the veteran presence on the team, and then you got a younger guy, rookie maybe, on there, and everybody knows they're there to replace you.
Alex
Yeah,
Smith
that's
and
right.
Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah,
Alex
there
Smith
you
goes
go.
down with an injury, and he never gets his job back. And he was having the best year of his career.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to pick this
Wally
up right.
Pip.
We're going to pick
Yeah.
this up right after the commercial break. All right, so here's our first first trivia question. Kobe Bryant now wears number 24. What was his number before that? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-660-4495. That's 888-660-4495 to answer
What's
this
that
question.
number again?
Oh, wait. Kobe Bryant now wears number 24. What was his number before that? 888-660-4495. Make sure you include your name, your email address, speak slowly, and spell out your email 1 letter at a time. Don't touch that dial because Sports Econ 101 will be right back.
Having a clue.
Guys are
Having a clue.
8.
Eight? I forgot that one, huh?
Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one. Oh, my phone was on. I was trying to set her off.
I'm going to come back with that. I like that.
Oh man.
Oh. That's so funny. KGO called me at the weirdest times yesterday in the afternoon.
Oh, I heard your update.
Well, it was so weird because Kevin was supposed to be there, and then Kevin, has his ups and downs, and I don't feel like coming in today. Like, God, this is reminding me of KGR.
So how does that work? I mean, do you have an ISDN line at your house?
No.
where you just do it?
I just drive into the station.
Wow.
Yeah. No, and Kevin likes to do his updates from his desk because it's like these little cubicles.
Mm-hmm.
Now he doesn't have to run down. I like to go to the studio, but it's about 70 yards. It's on the other side of the floor of the building. So once in a while, you're running a little late, so I just sprint down there.
Did you say, was this KMBR you said?
KGO.
KGO.
Yeah.
Is it in the same building as Channel 7?
It's in the same building as it was in the KGO was in the same building as Channel 7. Now they moved over to where KMBR is. There was floor below.
Oh, Hawthorne.
So it's
okay.
very strange working there again. And Lee Hammer's office is about 60 feet away from where I work.
Yeah, when we were doing
strange.
Whatever happened to Isabel Lemon?
She retired, got out of she's not retired completely. She got out of there when Susquehanna sold the company. She knew that it was not a good company that took over.
When we were doing the money scorecard on Saturdays at KMBR, the guys who were backing it, I was just a co-host on there, right? And I was coming in towards the tail end. And then one day they just said, we're just at the end of April, it's going to be, our contract's over, and we're not going to do it. And then so we get on the phone, and it's like a four-way conversation. Lee's on the phone, Lee goes, wait a minute, nobody told me this. He goes, the show's ending, it's like he's the last to know. I was like, oops.
That's typical.
It's only the program director. Yeah.
Typical Cumulus.
Did they just get bought by Cumulus, though?
No, they were bought
It's been a while.
7 years ago.
Oh, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I'm not working there anymore. I would have stayed
Yeah,
there. Yeah, but
I
they got rid of me, and they got rid of Schrader within a week after I left. Schrader left. So they just wanted to save money. It's Pennywise and Penny. It's the same thing. Vernon got out of Cron at the right time.
Yeah, you got it at the right time for that.
Boy, they were pinching him like you wouldn't believe. Gary's hanging on there by his finger. Of course, he's the best thing they got going. Him and Pam Moore.
Yeah.
And they're actually a few good kids. Is Catherine Heenan still over there?
He's still there. She moved to Mill Valley. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah.
She's good. I like her. She seems like a nice gal. I don't know her.
She's wonderful. Just
got a nice personality
just
on here.
a saint.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back. Okay, hold on a second here. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan and Vern Glenn. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Kobe Bryant now wears number 24. What was his number before that? Vern?
Wasn't 7. It wasn't 9. What's that number in between?
8?
Oh, 8. Yeah, that's it.
No, number 8.
Yeah, you guys are great. I had no clue. None. I always thought he was number 24 because of Willie Mays and Rick Barry, but I guess it shows you what I know.
Well, how many years did he wear number 8?
Or 8. Gosh, at least first 7 years of his career.
That's been a while.
Yeah.
That's why he had hair too.
It's funny. I used to pay attention to numbers all the way until I was in my 20s, and outside of Montana and Young, I don't remember, and Jerry Rice, of course, I don't remember anybody's number. It's weird.
I'm pretty good with numbers. Phone numbers is one thing, but uniform numbers, I'm pretty good.
Well, ask me about the 1960s or 70s, and no problem, but 80s, 90s, and beyond,
Ron Bryant.
No, I don't know. 32, maybe?
I don't know.
I'm thinking.
I wore 32 because of O.J. Simpson when I was a kid.
O.J.
And I was playing a little 7th, 8th grade football. Oh, that was the juice.
Boy, and not to get off on a tangent, but did you see him on television the other day? I was so sad.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I mean, I really feel sorry for O.J. I know he's made his own bed, but he looked just pathetic. It's very sad.
Yeah, I got to know a little bit, Joe Angel, the former Giants, with the Orioles when I first got to know him. But he was a quarterback at Galileo High School in San Francisco, and O.J. was in the backfield. I said, Joe, what was it like playing with O.J. Simpson at Galileo? He goes, I just handed off a lot.
You know what?
That's right.
Quick funny story, because for some reason that reminded me. There's a guy who does some work with me who is the same age as Jerry West, and turns out that they played at rival high schools.
Wow.
And they both played basketball, obviously. Jerry did, right? So this guy tells me the story that he said, we had to play the rival school, and nobody wanted to guard Jerry because he was as good in high school as he was in the pros, right? So this guy, his name's Rocky, he goes, Coach, I'll guard him, right? And so Rocky says that Jerry scored like 39 points against him, right? So I meet Jerry when just before the strike a couple years ago, and they're introducing Mark Jackson and all that. So I went up to Jerry and I was telling him the story, because Rocky says, ask him Zeke from Cabin Creek, because that's
Cabin Creek.
Cabin Creek. That because they're both West Virginia.
Sure.
So I go up to Jerry and I said, do you know Zeke from Cabin Creek? And he just kind of smiled, like, how do you know that, right? And I said, well, there's this guy named Rocky who played at a rival school, and one time he was told to guard you, and he scored 39 points against you. And so Jerry kind of looks at me with a very sweet smile and says, I don't think so. And I go, oh, wait a minute, no, I got that right. You scored 39 points against him. That's the story. There you go. That makes a little more sense.
Good story. I like that.
Like that?
Yeah, Jerry West is, he doesn't come around here too often, but I tell you, he deserves some of the credit for what the Warriors have done this year.
Yeah.
I mean, advising them on bringing in people like Harrison Barnes and Draymond Green and, the young veterans they got, and Jared Jack and Carl Andrews. That's a team that's going to be around for a while.
I've got the ultimate trivia question.
Okay.
I mean, I nobody in this audience will get this.
Go ahead.
Nobody. Okay. West Virginia, with the logo, they won the 1959 NCAA champion. He was co-captain of the West Virginia team. Who was the other co-captain? I'm telling you,
Virginia.
nobody will get this.
Well, have we?
Nobody
well,
will get this.
Here's the question: have we ever heard of
Very
this?
famous
Very
last
famous guy.
name. Very
Oh, okay.
famous last
Well,
name.
59 couldn't be Russell.
In
because
fact,
he was
this
in
guy.
San Francisco.
Okay, here's the clue. Or his daughter became world famous. Even was on the cover of a Wheaties box.
Oh, wow. Now you got me intrigued.
Okay.
I just know that in 1960, Cal won the championship with Pete Newell's great team, but 59 was West Virginia, right?
Yeah, it was West Virginia.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, you're gonna have to tell us.
Okay. All right. One more clue. Okay. Now, she made the cover of the Wheaties box because of what she did in the Olympics in 1984.
1984. Mary Lou Retton.
Mary Lou Retton. Yeah. All right.
Oh, my God.
Bill Retton.
Right.
Bill Retton was the co-captain
Never would have gotten that
Yeah.
one.
on that West Virginia team.
Boy, that's a good one.
Never would have gotten that one. No
I
way.
gotta remember that one.
Damn, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I got one for you here. Obviously, the pitcher's mound is 60 feet 6 inches, and you probably already know that it used to be 54 feet.
That was what, back in about the 1880s or something?
Okay. Here's the question: based on what pitcher did they move it back to 60 feet 6 inches?
Christy Mathewson? No.
Before him.
And
Cy Young?
Before him. That's what's tough.
Cy Young. Who would
Before
be-
Cy Young.
Before Cy Young.
Had been somebody that threw hard.
I'll just have to tell you because we don't have too much
Okay.
time to go with this.
Okay.
Amos Russi.
Amos Russi.
Oh,
was
no, I
nice.
never would've gotten
Never
that.
would have gotten that
No,
one.
no.
Okay, we were talking
Great
about.
Giant, by the way. New York Giant.
That's true.
He was there with the Giants.
That is
Very good.
amazing
You
knowledge.
like that one?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, the three-way. Okay, we're talking about professional athletes and time to retire. So I like this one here too. When a pitcher can't throw side session, they call it, without feeling extreme pain in his elbow or shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. When a basketball player can't sprint to half court without feeling sharp pains in his knees.
Mm.
And it says here's the problem. One of the problems is today's medicine, with all the high-tech treatments, players can now fool the body into thinking that everything is okay. So some players, taking cortisone shots.
Oh, sure.
Well, look at Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Look at Kobe Bryant. I'm sure that all the residual work, and the effect of that work had that residual effect on his Achilles tendon that caused it to tear. All that heavy work for years and years and years.
Yeah, Steph Curry.
Oh yeah.
He's taken the needle a couple of times
And if
in
I
this
remember,
Spurs series.
after a while, it just doesn't work anymore, does it?
No, I think when you're in your 30s, it's time to. If you're Steph Curry is lucky because he's not a big guy, but Andrew Bogut, 260 pounds, I don't think he's ever going to be the same.
Yeah, he made the point. He said, "Hey, I'm 7 feet 265. It's a
Yeah.
lot of weight on that ankle."
It's like a horse.
Yeah.
It's like a racehorse with a broken leg.
Is Curry even?
They're not
Is,
going to shoot Andrew Bogut, are they?
No.
Well, the ankle, you don't get too much blood going there, and that's the whole thing. The blood kind of heals and stuff. Okay, so we also have here, let's see here, Favre, his annual, charade became difficult because his body was screaming for him to tell him to stop. Okay, so now the other part is you're no longer any good. So one of the saddest things in sports is to see your favorite player struggle. We talked about early days and all that. And let's see here. Well, the other thing was about your desire to play has vanished. Now that's a tough one because, like you said, that can really get
I don't
you
think
into depression.
too many athletes go out there. Do you, Vern, that lose their desire to play. I just haven't seen it. I mean, they may not be able to play at a high level. They may not have it day to day, but just losing their desire, I don't know.
The only person I can think of that came close to it was when Tiki Barber, then for the Giants, he said he was in warm-ups before a game. This is last year, and he just looked around and he said to a teammate, "Say, you know what? I'm done."
Wow, I never heard that.
And he walked away at the end of the season. Yep.
That's amazing. Wow.
They were talking here about Jamarcus Russell. Now, he hasn't been around that long, right?
Trying to make a comeback. Hey, he's trying.
But they said they had to tell him to stay out of McDonald's because he couldn't stay in the gym. You know, and a lot of times they get so much money.
I don't feel sorry for Jamarcus, though, because he's set for life if he's smart. And he didn't seem like a dummy to me. He seemed like a kid that had a little intelligence. You have to be a quarterback, so I think he'll be okay.
But I just think you're a product of your environment. I mean, I think you are who you are. I mean, he was a guy from a small town in Alabama that just didn't know anywhere. So much happened so fast.
Well, you get so much money.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You know, back in the days of Ted Williams and all that, they had second jobs.
What is it, 90% of, no, it wasn't that many, but it's not that high percentage. But you were saying last week, I think, wasn't it? That
how many are out of work or whatever, out of money? With 5 years of retirement?
Yeah, it's like 65% of them. Yeah, it's kind of crazy because, you know, these guys, I don't know, what happened to, like, earning your pay each year? You know, rather than getting.
Well, that's what it was for years. It was that way for years. It's that way to a lesser degree in the real world, I think, nowadays. If you're in a high-profile position, but most of us have to work, paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. I think most of America lives paycheck to paycheck.
Oh yeah.
So if the desire vanishes.
We do in the Glen House, that's for sure.
That's part of the deal.
My wife keeps me excited to go to work, or else I can't come home. Okay, so what else do we want to cover here? Let's see. Bad calls that cost players money. So think about this. Jim Joyce ruining Armando Galarraga's perfect game. A lot of people don't, but everyone talks about the perfect game, but a lot of people forgot that he also lost the no-hitter.
Lost the no-hitter, lost the perfect game.
Yeah.
Didn't lose the shutout, but the sad thing about that was that he not only lost his moment of notoriety, but it was so obvious. And then Joyce felt so badly about it. The good thing was,
that was good.
You know what was good about it also was that Galarraga handled it so well.
He really did.
I mean, how many guys would have been able to handle it that well? And Matt came when he had a perfect game last year. He got the benefit of a great catch by Gregor Blanco. But think about that.
Yeah.
You know, the last play of the game was a ground ball to third. It was a close play at first base.
That was a hard. I don't think Pablo could have made that play.
No.
That one was definitely pretty tough. Okay, and because if you think about it, how much money would Galarraga have gotten if he got that perfect game? You know what I mean? Like for the next year, there
are guys though that throw no hitters in perfect games and don't get anything extra because it just happens once in their career.
Right.
You know, Philip Humber is an example. He's now pitching. Philip Humber. Yeah, exactly. Who is that guy? You know, I mean, there's another example of a guy that came out of nowhere. So sometimes it's the nobodies that do it though because the unfamiliarity that the other hitters don't know who he is.
And then you're going to work the other way around. You know, you go out and have a game like Joe Flacco did in the Super Bowl. Every completion, it was ka-ching, 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 because he knew he was going to. And they had offered him big money before the year began, and he went, let's just talk after the season, and the price went up.
Oh yeah.
You know what still galls me about that Super Bowl? And I love Jim. I love Jim Harbaugh. You know, he did a great job at Stanford. Did a great job at 49. You give Colin Kaepernick first and goal at the 4.
Run it in.
And run it in. Yeah, they had their nose tackle was missing. The Niners were killing him on the ground, and he runs 4 wide. Runs out, rolls out to the right, tries to hit.
And there have to be at least 3 people calling those plays.
Yeah.
Because from upstairs, there's got to be in the transmitter, and you got to execute the play.
Hold on to that thought because you got some of the bad calls to go over here. Okay. Michael, we're going to cut to our second commercial break here. Michael Jordan used to wear number 23. Now, when he came out of retirement, what number did he wear? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-660-4495. That's 888-660-4495 to answer this question. Michael Jordan used to wear number 23. When he came out of retirement, what number did he wear? 888-660-4495. Make sure to include your name, email address. Speak slowly. Spell out your email one letter at a time.
What was that? What was that number? One more time.
888-660-4495. Okay, and we'll be right back. It's amazing how many people.
Oh yeah, you have to hit it 3 times at least.
Yeah.
And I went to the DMV to get my license renewed today. I got there early, but it still took an hour.
No kidding.
Yeah, I got there at 9:30.
Can't you call? You can call and make an appointment now.
No, you can't. No, most of the time you can, but the appointment will only give you maybe about half an hour extra time. And I thought if I got there at 9:30, it wouldn't be that long. It wasn't that bad, but it's just like
just the waiting.
Yeah.
And then looking at that monitor, B45 or whatever your number is.
Then once you're up there, it takes a couple of minutes. You take your eye exam.
Yeah, once you're up there, you're in and out of there.
Just remember when you hit the microphone, I'm going to get you your own little pounding thing.
Clunk. Clunk, clunk. That's why Bill King used to wear his microphone on his chest. He had this little.
Yeah, it was like a little thing there, and the mic was right there. Yeah.
So he could stand up and move around. Yeah. Smart guy.
I miss him. He was great.
Yeah, he was a good guy. He got the most out of his life. 78 years. He probably could have lasted another 6 or 7 if he hadn't gotten an embolism, but. He went in to have his
hip replaced.
Well, his hip
right?
had been replaced. He had a follow-up procedure, and an embolism killed him. Like that. Yeah, that happens. But he was starting his last couple of years because his vision was starting to go. He couldn't see the plays as well.
So boy, nobody could call games better.
No, he was the best, especially with hoops. God,
hoops specifically. Yeah. Okay, we'll continue on with bad calls here. This is great because I tell you, coming up with stuff, it's good if we don't have enough time, straight over.
How about the home run that they ruled a double?
Oh,
that's one of the things that
bringing up astonished me. 4 guys got it wrong, and then they admitted.
Wow.
We made a mistake.
And then there was another bad call the next day. Was it next day or the next couple of days?
The Houston one. Not knowing the rules.
So bad. The Houston may be as bad as the 62 Mets. They're on a pace right now to
They
tie.
started off pretty well, didn't they?
No, I think their record is like 8-32 or something.
No, I mean like the first week.
Oh, well,
the first game they were 1-0.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
They're mostly minor leaguers or journeymen.
Okay.
If I was a fan, I wouldn't pay the money to see them. That's for damn sure.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Michael Jordan used to wear number 23, but when he came out of retirement, what number did he wear?
No clue. Vernon?
Well, let's go in increments of 5, starting with 40. We go 40, then 45.
There you go. And stop right 45? There. 45.
Yeah,
good,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
That was when he was with Charlotte, right?
No, he
came back to the Bulls.
But I mean,
he was 45.
Okay.
At 45, because someone else had number 23.
Then he thought, hey, I could play the game so well, I could run a team. Wrong.
Yeah.
Didn't he play for Charlotte for a while?
The Wizards. He played for
that's right, the Wizards. That's right.
But
He owned Charlotte.
Okay. Yes. So we're talking about worst call. Well, actually, we're talking about bad calls, right? So recently, you were just mentioning off air about Oakland, and that actually cost them the game. I mean, they would have tied up the game.
And Joe Torre later admitted that they made a mistake. The replay showed it was clear it was a home run. The guys were looking at the replay, and all 4 of them got it wrong. How could they do that?
And the thing is, it's funny. My brother pointed this one out to me. I mean, we all could see the ball bounce back in. You can see the trajectory of the ball, and it was obvious. But what he said was obvious was when you look in the stands, because it was in Cleveland, and you could see the fans getting all frustrated and upset because it was a home run. And I don't know how many people pointed that out.
Would have tied the game at the 9th inning.
Yeah, what I don't understand is why are these ballparks set up where they have a fence, and then if you hit it over the fence, it hits another fence and bounces back in. Why not just have a fence with nothing behind it, and then you wouldn't have this problem?
Because too many complexes are multi-sports stadiums. So they have to convert it somehow. When it's
no excuse.
Or how far back would fans have to be? I think that's what it probably comes down to.
Do you remember that horrible thing that happened a couple years ago where the guy fell out of the stands?
In front of his son!
And he died?
Fell to his death!
Josh Hamilton. I mean, he just tossed the ball up to him.
Oh, that's right. He tossed the ball up to him, yeah. Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah, that was really bad. Okay, so other bad calls here. In the 163rd game of the 2007 season, the Colorado Rockies and San Diego Padres battled to see who would be the wild card team. You guys remember that one?
Vaguely.
Okay, so through 162 games, they were tied. Bottom of the 13th inning, with the Rockies down 8-6, to the Padres. Outfielder Matt Holliday hit a big triple to tie the game at 8-8. So with Holliday on third and still no outs in the inning, the Padres intentionally walked power hitter Todd Helton to bring in the more average Jamie Carroll to the bat. In his bat, Carroll hit a line drive to right field, which was caught by the Padres' Brian Giles. After the catch, Holliday tagged up at third and tried to beat Giles' throw to home. The throw was on target and landed in front of the Padres catcher Michael Barrett, who blocked the plate and applied the tag. Holliday slid. Then everyone's favorite umpire, Tim McClellan, made the delayed safe call, resulting in the 9-8 Rockies victory in the entrance into the postseason. And unfortunately, replays showed Holliday clearly never touched the plate.
Now I do remember that, and of course the Rockies went to the World Series that year against the Red Sox.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
You think that was a bad call? Did that change a little history there?
Oh man.
Yeah, a little frustrating.
You think?
Okay. And then, if you guys remember 2005, the American League Championship Series, A.J. Pierzynski was up to bat in the bottom of the ninth, and there was the, Pierzynski took a couple of steps towards the dugout because it was obvious it was strike three, and the umpire, let me read this here. Okay, the third strike was not dropped by the catcher, and Pierzynski should not have been allowed to take first base. But the ball got caught. I caught the ball, so I thought the inning was over. In reality, he did catch the ball, but Doug Eddings, the umpire, never called Pierzynski out and made no audible call. So he thought that he actually had dropped the third strike.
I do remember that one too. Yeah.
Pierzynski thought thought he had dropped it and he took off for first.
No, Pierzynski thought he knew.
Well, Pierzynski knew, being the catcher.
Yeah. So he knew, and that's why he started to walk off towards the dugout.
Mm-hmm.
But the umpire, and so did the catcher, he knew it too, but the umpire made no call. So
the umpire had a brain fart.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Wow.
they call it. Okay.
He had a brain fart.
Okay.
Ooh.
Do you guys remember now this is going back to the 1975 World Series, Game 3, and Cesar Geronimo of the Cincinnati Reds leading off the 10th with a single. And pinch hitter Ed Armbruster dropped down a sacrifice bunt that bounced high in front of the plate. When Red Sox catcher Carlton Fisk attempted to field the ball, Armbruster intentionally collided with him, instigating a wild throw to second base in an attempt to throw out the lead runner. And Geronimo immediately protested that Armbruster should have been called out for interference by home plate Larry Barnett, as he clearly interfered with Fisk. They also argued Geronimo should return to first base, and this was appealed. It didn't happen. Then Joe Morgan goes ahead and hits a single that scores Geronimo that gives the Reds the 6-5 victory. And if you remember,
the Reds won that series by one game.
That's right.
Yes.
That's what I was just going to say. Because remember Game 6, you have the famous
Carl
Fisk
homer off the foul pole.
Yeah. Okay. And few people can forget 12-year-old Yankees fan
Jeffrey Meyer.
Jeffrey Meyer. That's right. I mean, that was a big one too. I really need to go
Against
to that
Baltimore. Oh, that Oriole fans still have a red ass about that one.
Yeah. I mean, that again. Well, there's another subject we'll get into another time based on that kind of stuff because I've got some good stuff on that. But,
How about a subject on? How about a segment on fan interference where if it had not happened, the outcome would have been different.
Bartman.
Yeah.
Steve Bartman.
Dusty Baker, he still could be managing the Cubs. Could be.
And the Cubs could have been world champions.
That's right.
They could have been.
They could.
They would have. They would have knocked the Marlins out, and they would have been in the World Series.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine a world where the Cubs would be World Series champion? I don't care if you're I don't care if you're the equipment man. You would never pay for another meal in Chicago again.
Well, it's the curse of the billy goat. You know, that
The
guy tried to bring the billy goat in 1945. The ushers said no, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to put a curse on you." And
but what happened between 08 and 1908 and 1945?
They had a couple of good teams.
Yeah, they never
quite got over. Well, they had to play the Yankees. Yankees clobbered them in, I think, the early 30s.
Yeah, that's a shot. Where you called the shot.
Babe Ruth called shot at Wrigley Field.
There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this one. 1985. I remember this one really well too. The Royals versus Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's the
Oh,
Whitey
yeah.
Herzog's Hares. Yep.
Don Denkinger. Yeah,
That's
first
it.
base, yeah.
That's it exactly. And you know, if you think about it, that was had that call been changed, literally the Cardinals would have won the World Series.
Oh yeah, no question about it. That was the 6th game that tied the series up. The Royals went on to win it the next, and they clobbered St. Louis in the finale. And it was, if you're a Cardinal fan, that one just really sticks.
Actually, I was a
in your
Kansas City fan. So,
Oh, you didn't like so much.
Well, I just put it this way: I didn't like
Don't
the
mind
Cardinals.
so much.
I bet you Bay Area resident Willie McGee remembers.
Oh boy, don't ask him about that
Oh
one.
man, that's it.
You know what Willie remembers though? He also remembers the Giants' Jeffrey Hackman Leonard doing his one flat.
Yeah,
down.
one flat down.
In the '87 playoffs, and he told me, he said, Lord, after one of those games, he goes, Lord, if you only let us win one World Series, let it be this, or one championship series, let us be this one. We want to beat those guys so badly.
Well, you know what's funny? Buddy Biancalana played shortstop for Kansas City, and he was a local boy here in Marin County. So apparently, and he wasn't a very good hitter. He happened to get a triple in the World Series, which was great. But other than that, he hit the low 200s. But he was a very good shortstop. So apparently, the story I heard, I didn't see this, but I heard, is that he gets invited to go on David Letterman. And,
Oh yeah.
And the idea was, you know, Letterman's going to make fun of him and say, so, buddy, you know, you got a hit in the World Series, so, you know, you're a little bit closer to getting Pete Rose's record, aren't you? Or Ty Cobb back then, because that was before he broke it. And so Buddy apparently just right off the cuff says, well, I'm a little closer to him than you are to Johnny Carson.
Oh!
Good comeback
A
there.
little bit of a comeback there.
Oh,
like that
sure he
one.
was ready for that one.
Yeah. Buddy Biancalana still involved in baseball, by the way.
Is he really?
Yes, he is.
Where? Locally? Or?
No, not locally. He's doing some kind of scouting thing. I saw him at a reunion of Redwood players, Redwood High School from Larkspur. He was like the pride and joy of that high school. And he showed up for a dinner. So, good guy. He's probably in his late 50s now. Mid-50s?
Actually, he was a year older than I. He's 54.
Mid-50s, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I stand corrected.
One quick thing about that Oakland A's play, the one that the home run did not get called. If I understand correctly, Angel Hernandez was the crew chief, and I was listening to the radio a couple days ago, and the commentator had pointed out that Angel Hernandez hates instant replay.
Yeah.
Here you got a guy who is, you know, if he looks at the replay and sees who, you know, but if he doesn't like it, he's not going to call it that way. So
Well,
you kind of
think about it. Just until a few years ago, we had no replay in baseball.
Yeah.
None. Now it's everything. I mean, football is ridiculous, and basketball also, hockey. But it's good. I mean, it's.
But I'm a fan of getting it right.
Yeah,
that
Just
makes sense.
get it right.
But it's hard.
You know?
I don't know if you guys have ever officiated games. I did softball games in college and some basketball games. And basketball is really tough to do.
Tough.
It's very hard. I'm surprised these guys get it right most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I really am.
they do, and there's only usually three of them on the court, basketball.
Yes.
But there used to only be two.
Yeah.
When I was doing it, was one, just me. And I wasn't very good.
You just stand in the middle at just half court the whole time.
No, I didn't know where to go, and I was gone after one game. That was it. That was enough.
Well, sometimes when I would
I was harassed out of that game. Ugh,
when I would a
embarrassed.
softball, and I was the only one doing it. You know, do it right from the back of the pitcher's mound.
Yeah,
It's
there
easier
you
to
go.
call
Yeah.
balls and strikes, then you're right in the middle, and you can call everything.
Good play, a close play at second base. You're right there. Yeah, good call.
For some reason, I had this down here on the bad calls. What about the tuck rule?
Oh God, I was there.
I was there.
I was there.
I was on the sidelines doing the Raiders sideline reports.
And I was in the end zone
Yeah.
with my cameraman, and it just happened, and there was this long break. We forgot it's a TV timeout, and immediately we're looking into possible flights to Pittsburgh because that's where we were going to go.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, this is a really long timeout. What are they? Then we realize they're reviewing this play. Well, it's a fumble.
Yeah, you know what was amazing about
It's
that night?
still a fumble.
Yeah, it was. You know what's amazing about that night? That they played on snow. That was about 4 inches of snow in here. It was like playing on an ice rink. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, Adam Vinatieri was the man, though.
Well, you know, the Raiders blew that game. They had nothing. Nobody to blame it themselves because they didn't stop them after that, and they didn't stop them in
That's true.
overtime.
They just could not. They
Yeah.
couldn't stop. They just kept backpedaling,
Yeah.
and
That was John Gruden's last game. If they win that game and they go to the Super Bowl, I think the Raiders, Al Davis, is going to have to keep John Gruden around. and they wouldn't have gone to Bill Callahan, and they probably would have won the Super Bowl next year instead of getting blown out.
Might have won a couple of them.
Yeah.
The way they were going.
We got about a minute and a half. So Bruce, you and unfortunately kind of a sad story. Chuck Muncie died on Tuesday.
Cal star of the 1970s. Great running
You
back.
said you had a story that you wanted.
Yeah, real quickly. First college football game I actually ever covered as a paid member of the media, and I don't think I was making much money in those days, was the big game in 1975, and Chuck Muncie at Stanford Stadium scored 4 touchdowns in that game.
Wow.
Amazing show.
Second in the Heisman voting that year.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know
Behind Archie Griffin.
Archie Griffin, who won it the year before
and
also.
real quick, a little trivia for Bay Area fans. You remember this guy, Joe Roth was the quarterback. He would have been a great pro, but he died of cancer at the age of 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great quarterback. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to cut to our third and final commercial break. What soccer player changed his number from 28 to 24 to 7 to 10 and finally 23? I feel like saying thank after this. Out of admiration for Jordan. First 3 callers, again, with the correct answer, win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at Lighthouse Resort. Their website is Lighthouse for Fun. Vern, what's the phone number? I'll tell you, 888-660-4495.
Could you tell from my pregnant pause that I did not know?
888-660-4495 to answer this question. What soccer player changed his number from 28 to 24 to 7 to 10 to finally 23 out of admiration for Jordan? Make sure to include your name and your email address. Speak slowly and spell out your email your email one letter at a time. And stay with us because Sports Econ 101 will be right back. I bet someone accused him of being a woman.
What's that?
Changing his mind that
That's funny because my wife is more like a guy than a woman in that regard. She makes up her mind on something.
Because
She
she
does
gets it
not ever change it. That's the way it is.
Hey, man.
I like
I
that.
like that. Yeah.
And she doesn't. She never raises her voice. This woman never raises her
Really?
voice. No. Never cries. Never gets upset. She's very calm.
Can you have her give
Well, you know why? 'Cause
Jeez.
tips to our wives?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah,
You know what?
is it?
She has to be that way because she's a special ed teacher.
Oh.
Wow.
So I have the joke that she
What a
deals.
tremendous amount of patience.
Oh yeah,
there.
she deals with
yeah.
crazy kids all the time and deals with. He comes home and deals with a semi-employed, dysfunctional sportscaster.
Wow. What a thankless job. A special needs teacher. Wow.
Oh.
Well, I hope the parents probably.
The parents are, it's in Marin County, it's in Larkspur, it's one of the best districts, so she's got great parents, most of them, 90% of them are great people. It's Marin County.
There you
She's
go.
lucky to be there, but they demand a lot. Yeah, she's a saint.
Okay. Now, what I can do is I can do the last, saying goodbye. Oh, but here, just in case you guys don't hear it, here's my thoughts for the day. In 1980, a Las Vegas hospital suspended workers for betting on when patients would die.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Ooh.
Seven, Daddy needs a new pair of
death
shoes.
pool.
Oh,
Wow.
that's terrible.
And if they didn't invent electricity, we'd all be watching TV by candlelight. Okay. All right. So that was.
My favorite quote today I heard was Winston Churchill said, Americans usually get it right. Of course, they have to try everything else first.
It's good. I like that.
It's true, though. I mean, we do try a lot of different things, and eventually we do get it right. So
My kids came home the other day. They said, "Dad, did you ever hear that second place means you're just the first place loser?"
Well, that's kind of what Paul said too, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of hard for kids to.
It's such a competitive world we live in. The United States is just.
So so what I'm gonna do is we didn't get into this part, so we can cover this. All right, awesome. Next time. Okay, so
Oh, was the soccer answer David Beckham?
yes.
Oh,
That's what I thought.
Okay, so we call referees.
Well, that's Dave Beckham. He's got to be about 36 now.
Yeah.
But that age where his skills are starting to really deserve.
every time I look up, though, he's
Still pretty good,
yeah, he's getting
Yeah.
game-winning goals.
Those guys are in such great shape. Soccer players and basketball
That-
players are
yeah.
the best athletes.
They're really
They
well
really are.
conditioned.
Hockey players to a lesser degree, and then football and basketball and baseball players, as good as they are, they're not. Well, I shouldn't say that. Generally speaking, they're not as in good shape as the other guys. That doesn't lend itself that.
So I'll record the first. Trying to get my mind wrapped around this here because I'm going to be like coming back into.
No problem.
This. So let's.
Oh man, I'm not getting enough sleep lately.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, my wife wakes up at 5:30 every
I
morning.
got some natural stuff. That's just
When is she in bed?
I was just sleep.
Well, I just can't. I can't get to bed before 10 o'clock. I just
Oh,
can't.
that I can.
I can't. And my wife gets to bed at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
The alarm goes off at 5:30, and I can't wake. I can't go back to sleep.
And if I go to bed too soon after she does, she doesn't like it because I move around to get settled.
Sure.
Oh, she wants to perfectly still. Oh, man.
My daughter though climbs into bed, and then when I get into bed, I have to pick her up, put her in her bed. And right now she's still sleeping on our floor. We're working on getting her back in the room.
Yeah.
You know.
Sometimes at 8.
Yes, it's okay. You know, I mean, in most cultures, the kid sleeps with them, the parents until they're what 9 or 10. That's normal.
Yeah.
Americans are a little different.
Okay, so here. Okay, so welcome. Did I do the beginning part there?
Why do all kids refer to the parents' bed as the big bed? You ever notice that?
My daughter
They
refers
call
to it as
big-
my bed.
My bed.
Yeah. And she
Yeah.
kind of says a little smile on her face. It's my bed, Daddy. And I said, no, it's not your bed. Your bed is down on the floor right now, but it should be in the other room. She's such a great kid, though. But this morning she was not a happy girl. She was grumpy. Did not want to get up early. She has to get up at 6:30 to go to Spanish class. 7:30 class starts.
Good, right?
She'll appreciate it one day.
Yeah, she will.
Here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan. Now, one of the things we want to get into here is football players filing tax returns in many states. It's not just football players, it's all pro athletes. A lot of people don't know this, that they have to file tax returns in every state that has an income tax.
Where
Really?
they, where
Yeah.
they,
What? Where they play?
Where they play. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, say you
Can
play.
you imagine?
Yeah.
All 50 states.
Yeah, well,
Some of them don't have tax.
But in other words, let's say you play for the Tennessee Titans and you got a road game this week at New Orleans. So you have to file in Louisiana. And the next week you have a game in San Francisco, so you have to file in California. Is that right?
Well, yeah, you wait. I mean, obviously, you wait till April 15th or whatever. You know.
Well, that's
Right.
where you come in. You were an accountant,
So
right?
that's I got the master's in tax, but
Yeah.
I gave it up for Lent, or gave it up for this. You know.
Hey,
Wait a minute. If you got 8 road games in
Right,
8 different towns, you got to file tax returns for those 8 states that you.
Unless
Wow.
unless it's like Texas that doesn't have one.
and that's true with the other sports too.
Yeah,
Baseball, let's say.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Now it depends. Obviously, if you're a low hanging, or not low, if you're like a rookie who gets low contract, then the proportion of what you're making in each state might not be enough to file might not be enough to file.
But I would think it would be
But nowadays, I mean,
Yeah, but if you're Jarek Jeter
yeah, oh yeah,
and you were playing, I mean,
That doesn't make sense to me though, because I mean that would be like if you're working for a company and the company sends you on the road
exactly.
and you're working on the road for a week, the company is paying your salary and you don't have to.
Totally agree with you. That's right. I mean, you're right, because if I work for a California company, I only pay taxes in California, even if they send me all around the country.
Right.
Now this is true in the NFL.
It's in all pro sports.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why? But why?
Well, because each state kind of says
Oh,
we
they
want our
want.
fingers in the pie.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
some things don't make sense,
Yeah,
but they just want it.
Well, there's a lot of money involved there.
Yeah. So they have here. Okay.
Well, what if I was a CEO of a company? Well, let's say my salary was $1 billion, whatever. And I travel, and I've got companies all over the country, and I got to travel to see what's going on. I'm only paying taxes in the state that I live in.
Wow. Yeah, but pro athletes, it's a whole different animal. It's sort of like, why does baseball have antitrust? Right. I mean, that's been challenged, and they say, "Oh, baseball's different." Why? Because it is. It's tradition, right? So
You know what Mickey Mantle said? Why does baseball have antitrust? I don't know. Why do they have antitrust? What does that mean?
What does that mean? Yeah.
You know.
I don't trust anybody. I don't have antitrust. And then if you're like for New York, they also have a city tax, right? So you got to file a.
Oh, that's
city
right.
return.
I worked in New York City. I remember
Do you
that.
remember that?
Yes,
Doesn't
I do.
Philadelphia do the same thing? Isn't it weird? If you
New Jersey
if
too.
you
I think.
work in Philadelphia, you got to pay Philadelphia tax, even if you
Really?
live in the burbs or something,
Is
or
that right?
Delaware.
Some of them have reciprocity. there you go. That's a tongue twister. Where they give you credit for paying taxes in other states. But here's the funky thing. This is California for you. Now, I don't know if they changed the rules on this. It's been a while since I looked at it. But California had, what they would do is they basically look at the highest tax rate possible. So if you made only 10% of your income in California, you just don't say, well, okay, if I made, let's say, $100,000, and you say, okay, I made 10% in California, just take 10,000, put that on the tax return. No. They say, what's the tax on 100,000? And then say, now we're going to take, and you have to pay 10% of that. So basically, they nail you for whatever the highest tax bracket you could be in.
What if you were a company? What if you were a company and you had your headquarters in Liechtenstein?
Okay.
You know, and but you lived in Truckee.
Yep. Well,
How
Nevada.
would that?
Well, is that? Oh, actually, Truckee's in California, not Nevada, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, would you? I mean, if the base of your company was in a foreign country, would you?
No, you see, if you're domiciled here, you have to pay taxes here.
Dang,
Yeah.
I'm getting around it.
Hell, that's what all these
true.
offshore
Yeah.
things are about. Huh?
That's
Yeah,
it.
and the
Cayman
IRS,
Islands.
and boy, has the IRS been in the news lately.
Oh my goodness.
Have
Wow.
you ever dealt with the IRS, by the way? If you know, the thing is, if you have your ducks in a row, no problem. But if you don't, oh my goodness.
Yeah. But even if you do have your ducks in a row, just going through an audit,
It's a
I
pain.
mean, I've represented hundreds of people before the IRS, and I'm like Perry Mason. I've never lost a case, you know. But when I got audited twice, 10 years apart,
Ooh.
I didn't represent myself because
No,
I
that's-
that old adage: he who acts as his own attorney has a fool for a client.
Right.
Yeah.
I figured the same thing with an accountant, you know. So even though I was squeaky clean, it's just you never know. I mean, I've had situations where, you know, people say, well, why don't I just go and represent myself? And I say, the reason you want to hire me is because I'll give you an example of the sort of things that happen. You go in front of the IRS and, you know, they challenge a deduction. You go, well, I've been taking that same deduction for the last 10 years and you guys never said anything.
Oh,
Yeah,
exactly.
hello.
Good question there.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's get
You know, when I got audited,
Really, more onion layers.
I got audited twice, and I actually got money back as a result.
You know what? That's not necessarily good though, because
Really?
yeah, I'll tell you why. Is that the IRS looks at that and says your tax return's wrong.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know you get money back.
Right,
So
right.
next year we're going to take a look at you again because apparently you don't know how to. I'm being,
Yeah.
I'll be
Well, this
serious
was
with you
my guy that
personally.
was doing it.
Yeah, but still, you know what it is.
Of course, it's my approval.
So they can make a
That's
mistake and still burn you.
Yeah, I mean they'll
Wow.
give you the refund, but
Yeah.
then they may still audit you because.
Yeah.
So the idea is to get and listen out there, audience, a little free tax advice here. What you want is a no change letter. That's your objective. In fact, I had that situation where I got audited, you know, back in 1994. I had forgotten about a certain extra charitable deduction or something, and I did, you know, it's like you go back to your records. It's easy to forget this stuff. And so what the guy who I hired, he kind of kept that in his arsenal, so that the situation is, well, Edward, you know, you have a chance. You have a choice here. You can get back like $1,000. What do you want to do? And I said, no, a no change letter. I don't want the 1,000. I just don't want them on my back for the next. So
Right, right,
Smart move.
right.
Well, you know your tax law though. That helps.
yeah, to some degree, yeah.
I mean, enough that
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
do
because
that.
here's the thing is that
But the average Schmo would be like, yeah, give me my
yeah, give me
$1,000.
my money,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
you get another letter next year.
Right.
Generally, if you get a no change letter and you get audited for almost the same sort of thing, you can show them the no change letter and they'll just walk away generally. But in your case where you got a refund and you say, well, hey, I got a refund, they go, so we're still going to
Right,
audit you.
right.
Now I know why my wife got rid of that tax guy. You know. Now I know why.
Okay, but here's something kind of
You know who my tax guy is?
No.
Paul Nave,
Oh, that's right.
the Marin County assssassin.
Yeah,
Is
the
he
former
boxer.
boxer.
Is he an accountant?
Nave Tax and Preparation Service.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Not to do a commercial for him, but I just did.
And he was fighting until he was what? In his 40s?
No,
No,
he's
50s,
still-
52.
He was still
He just-
fighting a couple
He's
years ago.
52 and he had win number 20.
Wow. That's amazing.
Right down the road from
Yeah, yeah.
Marin County
our
assassin.
fine
right?
offices here. Yeah.
There you go.
To send him in to beat up the IRS if they don't like what
Yeah.
they have to say. But now this is kind of interesting. Spring training though is a tax haven for baseball players.
Now, why is because it's all in one place, right?
Well, let's see here. Spring training is not
Florida and
Yeah,
Arizona.
that Florida and Arizona are the main things. Okay.
Okay.
So professional athletes pay taxes in the states we play. We already talked about that. It's known as the jock tax. But most states calculate a player's jock tax. That sounds kind of disgusting.
Yes.
It does.
Based on the number of duty days, that again sounds disgusting
Duty
again.
days.
Spent
He said duty.
He
Duty
said-
days. Duty days.
spent inside the state divided by the days the player works. Okay, so a game, practice, meeting, stuff like that, right? But in some cases, the player's duty day total is calculated from the day he arrives at spring training until the end of the season, or when the team competes for its playoff run. I mean, this thing can get really, really complicated. So unlike most sports where preseason trainings occur, the team's home, spring training, baseball, takes place in 2 states, Florida and Arizona. Now, Florida does not have an income tax, and while Arizona does, it doesn't begin taxing professional athletes until the beginning of their team's regular season.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, literally though, when you it's basically what it comes down to is holding spring trainings in these 2 tax havens can save elite players like the Jared Jeters hundreds of thousands of dollars in state income tax.
Now, how do colleges and universities get around it? Just the whole student athlete thing, and because there's a lot of travel there too, in a lot of different states.
Well, they're not paying the athletes, so right? The college are not
Yeah,
paying.
but somebody's making money, you know.
They are. Okay, guys, we're going to cut to our first commercial break here, and here is our trivia question because the theme is golf.
Hmm.
All right. What is the maximum number of clubs you're allowed to carry in your bag during a PGA governed competition? The first 3 callers with correct answer win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-660-4495. That's 888-660-4495 to answer this question. What is the maximum number of clubs you're allowed to carry in your bag during a PGA governed competition?
What's that number
Well,
again?
that number again is 888-660-4495. Make sure to include your name, your email address. Speak slowly and spell out your email one letter at a time, and we'll be right back.
I think I know the answer to that.
13?
I think it's 14.
14?
Yeah,
14.
Anything with numbers.
Oh, you must have done well in the SAT and the math part.
I did enough to get by.
I got 300. That's pretty good, huh?
Yeah. Don't you get that for signing your name?
I think you do.
Wait, what's that?
Don't you get that for signing your name?
Oh, right.
300, 500, whatever.
Oh. God, they get so many. It's like segment 10 minutes, then 12 minutes, and 14 minutes.
No problems. You know when it really gets testy is when you have to do a 1 minute or 1.5 minute sports update to the second. When I was working in network radio, it had to be to the second. And if you were a second over,
Is that why they play music at the end, just to let you know, hey, I better wrap it up?
well, I don't know. When I was working in New York, this one radio network I worked for was a 2 minute or a 1.5 minute update, and you had to be literally out on the second. If you went over a second or came in late a second, because there were 1,400 radio stations. I remember when I got in there late once, 2 seconds late. Oh man, did I get reamed? Oh, remember I got pushed in there. Get in there! Was being pushed into the studio. Get in there! Oh, I made a couple of really bad boo-boos in there. One time I pre-recorded an interview, and at the end of the interview, I screwed up the outro, and I went, and we'll be back with more of the KBI Sports Pageant. I thought I recorded it again. I didn't, so it went live or went out over the air.
Oh.
And my boss was listening, and one of his clients was listening. He goes, "What was that?" He goes, "Oh, I think Bruce was just clearing his throat."
Yeah. Good cover.
Right.
Oh, you stay in radio long enough, you're going to make your mistakes. Believe me.
I've only made one. No.
But it's true. I mean, but most listeners, though, fortunately, are not paying that close attention.
No, I know.
Even in
TV.
TV, they hear every 8th word.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because I say ahead of time what the kind of stuff we're going to try to cover, but I put a disclaimer, we don't cover next time. No one's going to remember that. Yeah. That's why live is actually easier.
Well, one thing I think that makes a difference, though, in terms of getting people to pay attention is if you do have a style that's compelling to listen to. Like Vernon, for instance, is so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be anything I'm not, he's not trying to be anything, but you have to put a little bit of pizzazz into it. You have to. But it has to be real.
Yeah.
And I think people, if you don't do that, it's like, man, what's this guy doing? It's boring, or turn him off, or whatever.
I had one lady email me one time.
It's true, don't you think?
She
Yeah.
was one of the winners of a contest, right? And this is for the other show, and so like I always like, how do you like the show? Do you have any suggestions? She goes, actually, I don't even really listen to what you guys are saying. She goes, I just like your voice.
Isn't that funny?
Well, if
Yeah.
a friendly voice, there's a lot to be said for that, or a friendly personality. I was talking about Catherine Heenan the other day. I don't remember really what she says, but she seems credible and she seems nice on the air, and it's not like I'm attracted to her. I'm attracted to the person that she is. She's a nice person, and that's what you want to see on the air. Somebody you can feel like, is a comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
There's a comfort zone there. Yeah. So Vernon's got that.
Hmm.
He's always had that.
Well, also, people like the friendliness.
Yeah.
You bring in some personal stuff.
Yeah. Bring a little.
Humanize.
Yeah.
They bring the boys in.
Bring the boys in. There you go. Bring the family in.
Bring the family
Yeah.
in.
My wife doesn't like that when I mention her on the air
You know,
at all.
Eva can't stand it.
She hates
Even though I
Really?
compliment her, she
it.
can't.
She hates. My wife hates it too.
Why is that?
But just leave my personal life out.
Modesty.
Yeah.
My wife is very modest. She's a very modest person.
It's fine. Just real quick, I know before we get on. When we went out to dinner with Vern, Eva was really hardcore into working out, doing competitions and stuff like that. So she looked really good. Well, she was having she was involved with some kind of a play group, boys and girls type of thing, men and women. Well, there was this one guy who kind of had a thing for her, and she was very pretty and So I saw this guy at the gym, and I could kind of tell he kind of had eyes for her, So he comes up to me at the gym one time and he goes, you are so lucky.
Yeah.
Like, why? He goes, you got beautiful family, great kid, because he met the kids too. And he goes, beautiful wife.
And a hot wife.
So I teased him a little bit. I go, beautiful. I go, do you think he was beautiful? He goes, what are you, crazy? So of course I got to play it on thicker, right? I go, well, I guess she's kind of pretty. I go, that body's got to go. He goes, is someone have a weight in your head?
One guy played a trick on me one time. This is when I was in Baltimore. A guy named Chris Thomas, and he and I went to this function, and we walk in, and I just got to Baltimore. I didn't know a whole lot of people anyway. I'm following him around, and he's introduced me to a couple other people, and there was this white hot chick that he introduced me to, and then we're walking away, and he's like, "Hey, man, what you think of the blonde?" I go, "Oh man, God, she's freaking hot. I wonder who's tapping into that." And then about 10 minutes later, he calls me over and he goes, "Hey, Vern, I want you to meet my wife."
Right. You got to be careful.
But she was cool though, man. I mean, she was all in.
You remember the movie Slapshot?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's how they start the movie off, right?
Mhm.
Paul Newman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a good one.
The Hanson brothers. Okay.
They beat me up.
Yeah.
The Hanson brothers.
Oh, did they when you were doing your Mr. Involvement thing?
Mhm.
What? Oh,
The Hanson brothers. Yeah. This was back in the San Francisco Spider days. Remember the San Francisco Spiders?
Do you want to
They brought the Hanson brothers in.
Do you want to bring that on the air?
Mid-90s?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Let's bring that on.
Okay, the clip.
Answer the question, then we'll do it. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan and Vern Glenn. When we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question about golf. What is the maximum number of clubs you're allowed to carry in your bag during a PGA-governed competition?
I was going to say 13, but I think I'm wrong.
What's the number after 13, Bruce?
Yes. All right, close, but
Close.
not close.
14.
That's right.
Okay, now, Vern, you're known as Mr. Involvement.
That's right.
Okay. Tell us a story, because we were talking off the air about the movie Slapshot, which that's only for us old people, because that was a movie in 1970.
78?
78? Was that what it was?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Paul
Yeah.
Newman.
Paul Newman. Yeah.
Michael Onkeen, I think was
Yes,
in that.
that's right.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's right. Well, the San Francisco Spiders, they were here for like a year, maybe two, and they played the games at the Cow Palace. And on opening night, they brought the Hanson brothers to make an appearance. So Gary Radish was doing a live shot
And
on
we
the
gotta
ice
tell
there.
people who the Hanson brothers were these kind of goofy nerd guys they're kind of tall
With the glasses.
with the funny glasses. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and so they brought him in, and I'm in full on hockey gear, and I'm kind of like skating around, kind of like behind him as Gary's interviewing him.
Okay.
And then Gary says something like, "It's too bad we don't have anybody to beat you." Yeah, how about Vern right here? And they just bam, and they just jumped on top of me. It was
Were
great.
they really hitting you, or just was it just kind of fun?
It was in fun, but I mean, but it
There
was
some
but
physical
they were
contact, yeah.
they
Okay.
man they
No, those guys actually played hockey. They were
Yeah,
real hockey
I
players.
think they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a skater?
no.
Was you-
Although
I just check out.
I play one on TV, but I'm not a skater.
But you can get out there and
I've
embarrass yourself.
done some Disney on Ice tryouts and stuff like that. I'm just falling flat on my face because it's but I try. But man, if it,
That's tough to do. I mean, if you don't know how to ice skate the first time you go out there, it's very frustrating.
first year of the San Jose Sharks, they put me in goal for a practice,
Oh,
and
man.
Doug Wilson
Oh.
was my teammate,
Oh.
and they put me back there, and they just peppered me with shots, and I thought all I had to do was just put on the padding, just stand between the pipes, and that was it. But you got to be one of the best skaters on the team
Yeah, you do.
to be a goalie.
Really?
Oh, it's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
and you got to learn how to do the splits.
Well, yeah, you got to do the
It's
splits.
crazy.
You got to get stand up, fall down, get up. I mean, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I went to the University of Denver, and hockey was the big sport there. And I played in an intramural game once. I was coaxed into playing it, and I couldn't skate well enough, so they put me in goal. What a mistake that was. 10 goals later, I was out of the game.
Well, I think I'd wear one of the, those when you go to parties and they have the sumo wrestling kind of outfits that people can bounce up against each other.
Oh, sure.
I'd wear one of those and just kind of stick myself in the goal, and then nothing can get by you. That doesn't work that way. Does it?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Tiger Woods a couple of weeks ago won against Sergio Garcia, and wanted to just kind of touch on this a little bit. That how money sort of changes things, like with the sponsors. Remember how when he had his problems, his personal problems?
Oh, Tiger, sure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what's the first thing to happen? You'll lose all the sponsors,
Yeah.
right? And now suddenly he's kind of on the winning track again.
Oh, yeah.
And they're his best friends.
Of course. They're on your side when you're ahead, but when you're losing, your friends aren't around.
That's
Now,
right.
does
Your
he have the-
friends, unquote unquote.
Does he have the same sponsors as he had?
I don't think so.
Tiger?
Yeah.
No, not that. Well, he had an arsenal of them now, but only a few have kind of come back to the fold. The big one,
Is
obviously, Nike. That's a big one.
That was quite a finish, by the way, with him. I guess Sergio Garcia had 2 in the
God,
water
what
or
a
something.
meltdown! Oh my gosh!
Bogey.
Ouch!
And and how about the back and forth between the two of them before that? Because remember the day before they were paired together, and on his backswing, Sergio Garcia claims that his concentration was interrupted because Tiger grabbed a club out of his bag, and there was some kind of commotion
Oh, jeez.
right on his backswing, and he just turns and he stares at Tiger.
And he says, "I want a mulligan."
And I bet he wished he had one, but
That's
but
funny.
he was like, Tiger, I don't think it's any secret that he's not one of my favorite guys.
Wow.
And the Tiger says, oh, that's not surprising. I'm used to him complaining a lot. It was just back and forth.
I love golf, but it drives me nuts how people be quiet, don't say a word. And tennis is the same way. This little whenever they boo, it's not booing. It's like, come on, boo.
Well, for me,
Jeez.
bowling was my sport, and it
Uh-huh.
was the same sort of thing. You kind of had to be a little quiet, the concentration.
I
But
mean,
a quadruple bogey, I mean,
Yeah.
I from the tee, I could have thrown it in.
jeez.
So
Well,
it got better
he
than
was
a
probably was they trying to hit it out on an island in the middle of this little lake, and he couldn't get it on the island. I mean, that's like shooting a free throw.
Yeah.
Okay, the game is on the line. I got to put the ball in there. There's, I didn't realize that the basket is actually wide enough to take two
balls. I
Two
know.
balls,
Isn't it
yeah.
amazing?
It
Yeah.
is.
What was that movie where I think it was Kevin Costner? He kept hitting the ball. It totally.
Oh, Tin Cup.
Tin
Oh,
Cup.
Tin Cup. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
sort of thing. Okay,
Something else.
move on to something here. Okay, women competing against men in sports. Now, we were talking about this a few weeks ago about Brittany Griner. She's one of the few people who can dunk,
Mm-hmm.
a few women who can dunk. Is she going to actually try out for the NBA?
No, she
No.
can't. No.
You can't. The problem is she's an inside player. She's a post-up player. But you look at her, she's about 6'8" and weighs about 210 pounds. She'd get killed.
Yeah, you take your smartphone, you turn it sideways. That's Brittany Griner.
She's great against women because they're not. I mean,
Yeah.
she's got
Oh,
great
she-
finesse and she's very athletic. But you put her up against the average inside player in the NBA is 6'9", about 240.
Yeah.
She'd have a prayer.
Just
Yeah.
eat her alive.
They would eat her
See, now
alive.
that's the thing. You're talking about team sports,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Now, potentially in football, there was a coach who said that former Packers vice president Andrew Brandt had said that a woman's place might be in the kitchen. No, a woman might have a place in football as like a place kicker.
As a place, and there've been some in high school. There've been some, I think, even in college. As a matter of fact, we mentioned basketball. Ann Myers, who was married to Don Drysdale, actually played in a couple of exhibition games. And, she was 5'8", about 150 pounds, and she just got hammered. The guys weren't going to hold back against her, and she didn't want them to. And she realized that this is not, and no knock to women, because the women athletes are great, but you put them up in a physical sport against the men, and even if they're behemoths, they're going to get knocked on their keister.
Baseball, a knuckleball pitcher, possibly.
Yeah. Well, there's that gal that pitches for the Hawaiian not semi-pro
Yeah.
minor league team that came here to San Rafael.
The knuckleballer.
The knuckleball
Yeah.
princess.
Yeah.
That she beat. I don't know if she beat San Rafael, but she pitched pretty well.
She pitched pretty well.
Yeah. So
Now,
that's
there was one sport though. This lady last name Kulik, who became the first woman to win a PBA Tour event with a victory, and this was Tournament of Champions in 2010. So here was a woman competing with a bunch of men, and she ended up winning that tournament.
Well, it happens. There are. A great one was Babe Didrikson Zaharias. George Zaharias was a great
Late 1950s. Yeah, but she tennis, golf,
track and field.
Track and field. Oh yeah, she was like the Jim Thorpe of
Jim Thorpe,
her time.
And she
could do it all.
Again, another tragic story. Died young, cancer, in her 40s. Yeah.
Now I remember the Bobby Riggs, Billie Jean King thing.
Oh, 1973.
I love that.
But the thing,
Sugar Daddy.
Okay, hold on. The thing that upset me though, there are two things. One, Bobby was about 180 years old at the time.
He was 58.
Okay, well, close enough. All right. And the thing is, she played on the singles court part.
The Virginia Slims tour.
Yeah. No, what I mean is that how there's doubles and singles.
Mm-hmm.
They shortened the court singles part for her.
But
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah, basically he had to hit her singles part.
That was his choice, though. He said,
Yeah, remember, hey, Edward, I remember. I mean, he called her out. I mean, he was an a-hole.
Why don't you?
I mean, he was really. Now he was trying to sell tickets.
Sure he was.
And he was trying to
He was
boost
a
up
little
ratings.
hustler.
But boy, he called her out.
He was a
But
hustler.
why not make it even?
Well, it was his choice.
I know.
It was his choice. Billie Jean King was at her peak, and he was an old guy who had hustled his way to stardom, and I mean that was his moment of glory, and he blew it.
Well, he beat Margaret Court.
Yes, he beat Margaret Court.
That was the idea. He beat her,
and she was a great player. But he probably got in her head. He was the kind of a guy who would get in your head, trick shots and little smirks across the net. And, hey, nice shot! You hit one out. I remember I used to play ping pong against a friend.
I remember that was huge. That was I think it was like ABC carried it. It was it might have been in prime time. It was a big time event.
He psyched her out. I was mentioning ping pong. I used to play a friend of mine, and I was better than this friend. And he'd always beat me because he would just get to me by saying little things like "nice shot." I said, "What do you mean nice shot? I hit it out." No, I mean it was a nice shot. No, it wasn't a nice shot. Shut up.
Well, who was it? Who Latka? Remember? Didn't he want to do wrestling? And he went in against women. And then Jerry Lawler called him out.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I do remember
I don't remember that one.
I do remember that one.
Yeah. They did the movie and Jim Carrey played it. Yeah, they did that one.
That was crazy.
Okay.
Some guys are nuts.
Yeah. All right. So thinking about some of these players here. Okay. What about old time players against new time players? What I mean by that is a guy like Babe Ruth probably could still play in today's game, baseball.
You're talking about guys in the prime back and say like,
Exactly.
could they play today? Oh, sure. Oh, you go on and on.
Baseball, yeah, but like basketball,
I think so.
I don't think a guy even like Bob Cousy, who was probably the best in the '50s, I don't think he'd be able to do anything.
The thing is, you have to remember the way the game was played in the '50s, especially in the '60s and '70s. There was a lot more finesse involved. Now it's a lot more physical. I think the guys playing in the '60s and '70s would have the advantage of playing. The guys today can get away with just a lot of one-on-one stuff and just pure athleticism.
Sure.
That's what makes the Warriors intriguing to me. Not to get off on a sidetrack about the Warriors again, but they are the kind of a team, and the Spurs, that play the game the right way. And they're the good teams. I think the really good teams have to play that way.
But if you look back, I think Will could play today.
Oh, Will could.
I think Will's prime.
How about
Russell could play?
Yeah, Russell could
Pistol
play.
Pete Maravich.
Pete Maravich.
Yeah.
Rick Barry could play.
Oh, yeah. Oscar Robertson,
Yeah.
Ray
Yeah,
West,
Oscar Robertson,
Elgin
yeah.
Baylor, all those guys. Yeah.
Then also now you look at football, and some of those guys, have a hard time, again, competing against these guys who weigh 280 pounds.
Gil Sayers could play.
Yeah,
Gil
I
Sayers,
think offensive line and defensive line.
Jim Brown?
They'd have to bulk up a
Yeah,
little
he
bit.
would.
They
Okay,
probably would.
hey guys, we're going to go to our second commercial break. Here's the trivia
Edward
question.
Brown, good play.
Edward Brown, yeah.
I've heard that name somewhere.
Hey, I can play tiddlywinks against the best of them. Okay, what is it called? This is golf, remember. What is it called if you shoot 2 over par for a hole? The first 3 callers, the correct answer, are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-660-4495. What's that number again?
888-660-4495.
To answer this question. What is it called if you shoot 2 over par for a hole? Again, 888-660-4495.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Actually, that's one of my better
That's your better days, yeah. Make sure to include your name, your email address, speak slowly, spell out your email 1 letter at a time. Don't touch that dial because we're Sports Econ 101 will be right back. Okay, good. We're almost done here.
Here you go, man.
Guys, crack me up. Okay, so what are you looking at here?
He's looking at his Hanson brothers.
These are the Hanson brothers.
What did
We're
you?
gonna see
And this
this
is like
here.
'97, maybe. So you've had these videos. Oh, you just downloaded off.
Okay, wait, that's the real movie.
No,
Oh, wait.
that's me.
Remember who was the PR guy for them? Shane and Don.
Shane it up.
Can you-
That's
can you
what I
send that-
first.
Yeah.
Can you send that to me?
Sure.
Oh, please send that to me.
Yeah.
It's funny because I couldn't quite see.
It's funny that when the Sharks left, that kind of left the void because a lot of the Sharks fans that were going the first couple of years didn't want to drive all the way to San Jose. So the Spiders kind of picked them up, and now the San Francisco Bulls they
Are you
drove
Brown?
Brown 1111 AOL.com.
Bulls did
Brown
very well this
11-11?
year. They drew about 5,000 fans a game.
Yeah, ebrown1111 at AOL.com.
Why 11-11?
Because there were so many E. Browns, Edward Browns.
Oh, really?
God, it took me
Okay.
forever
Oh, yeah, good.
to get that. Yeah, drove me crazy.
Yeah, if you Googled Edward Brown, say California, you'd probably get about 30 or 40 that are just have their own websites or Facebook,
Which
or
is kind of good and bad.
LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Are you on LinkedIn? You guys on LinkedIn?
Yeah,
I
I
am.
don't really use it though.
I don't really go to it much.
Yeah. Not too many people
Because
do.
I'm not looking for a job. You know?
Yeah, I think that's mostly how people do it.
Yeah.
It's they do, and Facebook, of course, is more social. Now there's some new website where you can send information out and it immediately, as soon as the other person gets it, they look at it and then it goes away. Boom, like that. I can't
Oh,
remember
that's
it.
right.
It just started out. I can't remember what it
Well,
was.
you just click on it, you check it out, and
You
then
check
it's
it out,
gone.
it's gone. Like you have about a minute to look at it, and then it's
Yeah.
gone. It doesn't stay there.
Wow.
Yeah. So it doesn't clog up your quick
Well,
reference.
not just that, but for privacy.
Oh yeah. That's smart. Yeah. Now
Okay.
people will send racy videos to each other more often.
That's kind of what's going on. Okay, so we covered that and that.
That reminds me of the commercial. The girls, they made a little video for their dad to watch, and then the wife says, "I made you a video,
Yeah.
Oh.
but you're not going to want to
Wanna
watch
watch
it
on the plane?"
Oh, that's right. That's a good one.
That's a
yeah.
good one.
That's funny.
Alright, so why don't we get into
I can't believe I've been married for almost 18 years now.
Wow.
first 10 years didn't have any kids.
No, well, she wanted them, but I was too much into my career, and she was
Oh,
young, and she kept bugging me. Finally, when she hit 35, she put her foot down. She goes, "I want a kid."
Yeah.
So I said, "Okay," and it's been a great thing. But I'm glad we didn't do it earlier because just it worked out this way. So, gotta be ready to have kids. That's a big step. Big step. Marriage is like here. Kids is like here. Marriage, like you say, marriage can always go away. Kids are never going to go away. They're always going to be yours.
That is true.
I think most people feel that way. I hope most people feel that way.
Okay, just one last second, we're done here. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vernon Glenn and Bruce McGowan. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. What is it called if you shoot 2 over par for a hole? We're obviously talking golf here.
Double bogey.
Double bogey, that is
Yeah.
correct. Okay.
Where does the bogey come from anyway?
Oh, the whole terminology?
Yeah.
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I mean, it's probably before Humphrey Bogart.
I was gonna
so
say,
probably
yeah.
gotta be before him. Okay, how about this? Subliminal refereeing to help certain popular teams advance in the playoffs.
Subliminal reference.
Well, I'm just saying because I'm assuming the referee's not doing it on purpose. I mean, there's so much money.
Oh,
in
favoring
sports.
the play.
Yeah. So like, you know, you get a play and you go, let's see. I think we'd rather see the Spurs than the Warriors.
Oh, wow.
And so you know, I mean, I don't know.
I hate to say it, and again, getting back to that series, I've noticed a lot of calls going against the Warriors that normally wouldn't because the Spurs have the veteran players. The veteran players are always going to get the benefit of that. They've been around longer. And if there's some contact, incidental contact, it's usually, well, you know, those veteran players know, you know, they're not going to fake it. No, of course not. They're not going to flop. So, you know.
I've seen so many turnovers. I mean, like palming the ball. I've seen that called. I was like,
Travel.
wow.
You haven't seen that. That's the thing is they used to call that all the time.
Yeah.
Now
No, they never call
They
it.
carry
Never
it.
call it.
It's just if they don't take the extra step, that's when they're not calling
I
it.
love Magic Johnson. He may have been my favorite player of all time. That guy palmed the ball more than any other player I've ever seen in my life.
Or what about Charles Barkley, where he would stop, then he'd take 2 steps back behind the 3-point line and shoot it, and he never called traveling on that. And then, well, getting into the subliminal refereeing here, this is a tough one. The Immaculate Reception. I heard afterward that, I don't know if this is true, but the referees got together and when they were in their huddle.
It's a true story.
That is true, right?
Yeah.
That's a true story. They asked somebody, could you guarantee our safety
They went down into the dugout.
if we call it the way we,
And they said no, so they said, okay, we're going to have to vote for Pittsburgh on that.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, how much security can you give us? Because the fans had swarmed all over the field in celebration, and upstairs they said we can give you 4 guys. Touchdown! But the thing is, if you watch the replay, it's
hard.
I mean, Raider fans always get on, and John Madden and all those people, Jack Tatum. No. Frenchie Fuqua touched the ball. You know, it's kind of hard to tell if he did.
It's still, no matter how close you
is.
look at that. And the funny thing is that if it was done nowadays, it wouldn't matter.
only Frenchie Fuqua would know.
It was a
They
free
may not
play.
even know.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, sometimes
It was
you
such a
just can't
bang
know.
play.
Well, Franco Harris was just hanging out there. He didn't even know what was going on. He just figured I'm out of the play, and all of a sudden here comes the ball. And you watch the ball too. Normally you knock a ball down, it goes straight down. That ball went about 10 yards.
It fluttered.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
fluttered,
Well, you know, you look at the play. Bradshaw should have been tackled a couple of times. And then even when Franco Harris gets it, I don't remember who the last guy. All he had to do was just push him out of
Jimmy
bounds.
Warren. Well, the thing was, if he pushed him out of bounds, there was enough time in the clock that could have kicked the field goal and won the game because they were down 7-6 at the time.
Oh, how many seconds were left in the clock?
There were about 8 seconds left when he scored.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. You know what's interesting about that? The Steelers don't win that game. Maybe they don't go on that great run of winning all those Super Bowls. Same thing with the Patriots. If they don't win the Tuck game, maybe they don't go on the great run of winning all the
That's a
Super
good
Bowls.
point. I mean, Franco Harris, that was his rookie year.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Bradshaw, that was only his second year,
Third year.
Yeah. Okay.
Think of all the calls involving the Oakland Raiders.
Oh, yeah, the immaculate
Sea of
reception,
hands,
sea of hands.
the holy roller.
Well,
the
the
holy
sea of
roller.
hands wasn't a call, but the holy roller.
Okay, wait, hold on. The Sea of Hands is which one?
That was the playoff game against Miami, and Clarence Davis made an incredible catch. And he had the worst hands on the Raiders, but he made an incredible catch between 3 defenders and pulled it down.
And the Raiders won the game.
And the Raiders won the game. It knocked out the 2-time defending champ. I was going to say Stanley Cup. I'm thinking NFL champion Dolphins.
How about this? This is something that would never happen. Never. The Heidi game.
Yes,
It never happened.
I was there for that one. I remember that one. Yeah. Well, the thing was that that wasn't a controversial play. It was just the Jets making 2 huge mistakes.
Yeah.
They didn't pick up Charlie Smith out of the backfield on a short pass, and he goes 40, 50 yards for a touchdown. And then on the ensuing kickoff, Dick Christie, and I'll never forget this because I talked to Dick Christie years later, one of his own players runs into him and knocks the ball out of his arms.
Wow.
And it's rolling on the ground. The Raiders pick it up and score a touchdown.
And then there's the NBC network switcher in New York that they couldn't get a hold of in time.
Yeah. And they cut
And
it
he
off.
played
Heidi.
the movie Heidi
I was going to say that.
before the end of the game.
I was going to explain that to the
Wow.
audience for those young players, that people out there who don't know what the
1968. 1968. Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone wants to see Heidi instead of an exciting football game, right?
Well, this is back east only, though. Out on the West Coast, of course, in those days, they still had the blackout. But if you were in L.A., you saw it. Or if you were in Denver, you saw it. But if you were in New York and you're a Jets fan,
Did
you
not see
did
it.
not see it. And that was, somebody once later said that that was the best advertisement for the Old American Football League because that same year, the Jets got their revenge, knocked the Raiders out in the AFL title game, and then won the Super Bowl. That put Joe Willie Namath on the map.
Joe Willie Namath from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania.
Beaver Falls,
I
Pennsylvania.
remember that.
And Alabama.
That's right, Alabama.
Bear Bryant.
And what did Joe say to the reporters by poolside? He said, "Hey, I guarantee we're going to win that game."
Win that
Guarantee
That's
it.
right.
and they beat the Colts. That was a bad year for Baltimore that year.
Yeah, it was. They lost the.
Oh, that's right. That was
orioles lost the World Series.
Right.
Of course,
So
I
that's-
was a
Bullets
big,
lost the NBA championship.
That's right.
I was a big
To the
Mets
Bucks.
fan, and so I still remember Ron Swoboda. That was one of the best catches I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hey, but for as bad of a year that was for Baltimore, what a great time it is right now if you're a Bay Area
Oh, my
sports
God.
fan. What? As it, and I made mention of this on Facebook, and then Bruce commented it. Go back to 1989.
Yeah.
When
1989.
the sports scene was this good, where everybody was good.
Yeah.
Well,
Earthquake World Series.
So you
Niners
get the
winning
Bay.
Super
Okay,
Bowl.
get this. I get married October 14th in 1989.
Wow.
Okay?
Oh my goodness.
3 days before the quake, first game of the World Series, and I remember telling my wife when we were getting married, right? I said, we were watching the Cubs lose to the Giants, and I go, oh my goodness, we're gonna have a Bay Bridge series here, and oh shoot, the first game's gonna be on our wedding day. I said, sweetie, I go, we gotta make this kind of a short. I go, no, not for me, not for me. No, hold on, I'm gonna stay there the whole time. But I said, we got a lot of people who are gonna go home and watch the World Series, and she flipped. She said, what are you talking about? Everyone wants to go to our wedding. I go, well, yeah, they don't want to spend too much time there. They want to go watch the World Series.
That's right.
She wasn't too happy about that. And then when the quake happened, we were in Hawaii, and people kind of accused us of starting the quake.
Did the earth move for you, baby? Yeah.
The earth moved for me, baby. Okay, quick thing here. Mistakes or errors that hurt players' careers. You got guys like Bill Buckner, of course.
Mhm.
He was actually a very good player, right? He played for the Dodgers, right? And then he gets traded and he has hurt knees.
Was for the Red Sox?
Didn't he play for the Cubs too?
Played for the Cubs. Yeah.
And he was good, but I guess this was
18 years. 18 years in the league, or in both leagues.
But did that ruin his life?
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Well, I wouldn't say it ruined his life, but it certainly cast a pall on it. I mean, he had to live with that, and what a pain in the rear to have to walk around. Nobody remembers how great a career he had. Oh, just that ball went right through your legs.
Yeah.
Cost you the World Series.
But at least 2004, when they won the World Series, they finally forgave him.
Yeah. He didn't care by that time. He's long gone.
In the football world, I don't know why they just flashed before my eyes. How about Jackie Smith dropping a touchdown pass
For the
And
for the Dallas
Oh,
Cowboys
Yeah. And they lost that game by 4 points to the Steelers.
to the Pittsburgh
Yeah,
Steelers?
that's right.
It's another one where the Steelers get off the hook.
I know. I hate the Steelers.
I know.
Well, I did. I don't hate them.
Yeah, I was not a big Steelers fan.
Wasn't there a bad call against Ronnie Lott in the '83 NFC Championship
Against
game?
Washington.
Yeah.
Two bad calls. One against him and one against Derek Wright that allowed Washington to drive downfield for the winning field goal after the Niners came back from 21 points down in the fourth quarter.
Man.
What was that pass interference call that should
Yeah,
have been?
two of them. One of them was possibly legitimate. The other one, no chance. It was a terrible call.
Roger Craig fumble.
Against
the Giants.
I still have nightmares about that one.
He might have finished out as a 49er.
That was his last play as a 49er.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
And so you get guys like that. Okay, then you also have Scott Norwood, right?
Yeah. Missing the shot heard around the world for Buffalo.
For Buffalo for the Super Bowl, and they went into the Super Bowl 4 years in a row
And lost.
and lost every time. And this was the only time that they were even close.
Yeah, that was the first one too.
Yeah.
The first of four. That's kind of set the tone.
How about the refs jobbing the U.S. Olympic basketball team in 1972?
Oh yes,
Again.
and Russia wins that
Woo!
one. Steals out.
I think to this day they never accepted their medals.
Alexander Beloff scored the game-winning basket.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go back to that to realize how frustrating that was. It's like they kept trying to figure out a way for Russia to win. They finally figured out the way. Well, the clock didn't start. There was a timeout. There was this, that.
Man,
I had to go get a hot dog.
Notice ever since then that that sits there. But now, whenever we have the Olympics, we get our best athletes there. It's a joke. I mean, you put the best NBA players against the rest of the world. No chance. No chance.
What happened? The Dream Team, and then after that, though, they did lose.
That's true. They lost.
They did.
Yeah. I stand corrected.
I think it was a John Thompson coach team. I think.
But did they lose in the Olympics? I thought they lost in the preliminary. They lost in the Olympics.
I don't think they got a gold.
Okay.
I think they got. I don't even know if they got silver. They might have gotten bronze in that one. I think Italy and Spain had good years. And then guys, I gotta laugh at this one. Leon Lett.
Oh yeah.
I was at that game too at Pasadena. And Steve Tasker.
Sure touchdown. And
Steve Tasker comes up from behind and knocks the ball away. He's holding it out in it like a loaf of bread.
Okay, but what was more to me funnier was the play that he did at Thanksgiving. It wasn't, it wasn't a playoff game, but it was Thanksgiving in the snow in Dallas, which hardly ever snows. And it was a field goal kick by Miami, and everyone's going, and it gets blocked. It's like, everyone, don't touch it, don't touch it. And about 15 seconds goes by. Well, maybe not that much, but a lot of time seems to go by. And there's Leon Lett trying to jump on the ball. He doesn't need to touch it.
Yeah.
And of course, it squirts out from underneath him.
Mhm.
Miami gets it, kicks a field goal, wins the game. Love that.
Leon Lett.
Boy.
Hey, how about locally here? Jim Marshall running the wrong way against the 49ers
Yeah.
and scoring a touchdown at Kezar Stadium.
Yeah, that
Very famous play.
Turned into a safety. And Bruce Bosley, the 49er center, comes over and congratulates him. And Marshall's going, "What do you mean?" He says, "Hey, you scored a safety for us. Thanks, guy." Of course, the Vikings had the last laugh. They won that game. And the funny story about that is the 49ers, well, I'm going to digress. Go ahead.
That's okay, go ahead.
No, it just reminded me of another story. The Giants, when they won a playoff game against the Dodgers, Lon Simmons was doing the play-by-play of the 49er game that same day at Kezar because he couldn't do both games. Russ Hodges was doing the game at Candlestick with Bill King. Anyway, Russ Hodges or Lon Simmons says, all of a sudden, the 49ers are coming to the line, and everybody starts cheering, and then nothing has happened. It turns out everybody had their radios on listening to the Giants win a playoff game at Candlestick Park. So,
And then funny how they had the transistor radios
Yeah.
going.
I remember
yeah.
those, sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Romo's bad botched snap. God, that's a hard
Oh yeah,
one.
was it a field goal or was it an
Field
extra
goal.
point?
It was on a
Up
field
in
goal,
Seattle,
19-yard field goal.
Seattle.
Yep, against Seattle.
Yeah.
No, he's kind of turned it around because he's kind of come back a little bit. It hasn't actually.
Still hasn't won a big one.
No,
Though.
it's too bad. If you play for the Dallas,
Well, they gave him a lot of
Cowboys,
money.
You play for the Dallas Cowboys, they're gonna, you're in the spotlight all the time. You're under the microscope, the magnifying glass.
If President Kennedy had not been assassinated in Dallas, I wonder if the Cowboys would have had that national right. It seems like from that point on,
Yeah, that's an interesting theory. Yeah.
they were known as, you know.
Really, you think it's from the Kennedys?
Well, I know they lived with that stigma for a while, but
Yeah,
it would just get going.
Go down to Dallas sometime. By the way, again, I'm getting off on a tangent here, but go down to Dallas sometime, walk around Dealey Plaza, and then go up in the Texas Book School Depository. It's no longer called that. There on the 11th floor, there's a museum, and you can actually go to the spot where Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly took a shot at Kennedy.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Okay,
Wow.
guys, we're going to cut to our third and final trivia question commercial break. 3 under par is a double eagle, right? What else is it known as? There's another word for it. Okay. First 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-660-4495. That's 888-660-4495. You guys can remember this.
Yeah.
To answer this question, 3 under par is a double eagle. What else is it known as? Make sure to include your name, email address, speak slowly, and spell out your email 1 letter at a time. And don't touch that dial because Sports Econ 101 will be right back. 14
Wow,
minutes right on
even
the-
I don't know that
I
one.
don't know that one.
I don't know that.
An albatross.
I was going to say
Albatross.
Really? I was going to say a condor, but I was close. Close. Condor and albatross
Wow.
are kind of
They're both. They are big,
Yeah.
big boys.
big.
Those guys are
boys.
big boys.
Oh,
Mm.
what a beautiful day.
Oh, it is. Well, guys, listen. I mean, you don't have to stick around if you don't want for the closing stuff. You let me know if you want.
What time is it?
It
It's
is
about 4 o'clock.
4:50.
Oh,
4:51. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I gotta do my kids'
Yeah, go ahead.
baseball game. Got a 5:30 game.
Love
I
it.
just realized.
Friendsfield
my-
Yeah,
North.
please,
I
you guys.
hope that my I put an hour and 20 minutes.
I put an hour and 9 in mine.
Okay, when I was mentioning that. I mean, some people park down below here.
I
you know,
parked
you have
just on
to
this
take the- Okay.
A Street, so should be okay.
On 5th and Nye, that used to be my old office. It's not been.
They don't go after you there.
No, because we moved out. Nobody else moved in.
Mhm.
So the back parking lot, it's empty.
Oh,
Wide
I mean,
open.
any space that's a suite 100.
interesting.
Buddies,
All right, my man.
thank you. And I'm going to get those cards for you.
Oh, great. My wife's hungry.
good food.
No, my daughter's actually hungry. I'm hungry. I'm always hungry.
I know. Yeah, that's the problem with me.
Late age.
A little bit too much. Always hungry.
We're supposed to look that way, aren't we?
All right, so next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Okay.
Same
And then-
time, same place.
Yeah, at some point, it'd be kind of fun to get families together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.